This is Ian Hodge with your 10-minute business consultant. I've spent the last 20 plus years in working with business owners of various sizes. I've worked with close to 200 business owners and managers, and I've worked with non-profit organizations. And so I've had experience in over 60 different types of businesses, and as I said, close to 200 individual businesses. Today's lesson is why businesses fail. Now I'm putting these into a series of short video clips because I know most business owners don't have an hour to watch a video clip. So I've created these series of 10-minute video lessons for the busy business owner and the busy business executive. Here's your chance to take a 10-minute break out of your day and learn something perhaps that you've forgotten. Or if you're currently doing it, maybe it will prompt you to do it better than what you've done before. So here on the board I've placed the 5 boxes that represent the 5 key functional areas of a business. They are also true for a non-profit organization as much as for a for-profit or organization. So the things I say here are just as applicable in churches and non-profit organizations as they are in the money-making business activity. The top box is the box of ownership. What are the functions of ownership? What are the functions of the executive office? Not the executive officer, he's a person. What are the functions of the executive office that the executive officer should and must do? Then we have the sales and marketing functions and the operations functions, and finally the scorekeepers of the business, the finance and administration people, who ultimately send through the reports that tell us whether we've been successful in this particular reporting period. Now, what are the criteria, of course, that word success is used? What did we plan to achieve? Did we plan to achieve $1 million worth of sales this month at 10% net profit? Then our financial reports should tell us whether we were successful in that objective. Did our operations people actually deliver the products and services at the costs that we had estimated? In other words, did they achieve the gross profit targets of the business that are necessary for the success of the business? So you see, everything comes out of this really one objective, which is the number 2 I'm just writing there at the moment, which is the function of the business owner is to determine the return on investment. Now, we know that business owners get to provide the dollars for the business. That's where the buck stops in terms of capital. And most businesses fail because the business owners do not give a clear return on investment. You know, it's like a ship. Business is like a ship out on the Pacific Ocean, and it has a destination, or it should have a destination. Is this ship going to Alaska or is it going to Australia? Now, if you don't tell the crew where you're going, they are likely to get behind the oars and start rowing towards Alaska when really you wanted to go to Australia. That destination is what I mean by the return on investment. It's usually the net profit side of the business, the return that the business owner wants for all the time and effort of tying up his resources in this activity. And of course, the last activity of the asset of the owner is to appoint the chief executive officer. Now, many of the business owners get stuck at this point because they appoint themselves as the chief executive officer, and then they take a level of performance from themselves which is far lower than they would take from any other person who might have been appointed to that position. And this is another reason why businesses don't do so well, especially if there is no clear return on investment in terms of a dollar, a tangible objective. I recognize that return on investment can also include other things other than money. You know, there's family, there's lifestyle, there's a whole number of things that need to go in that. But just in today, I'm trying to think that without that dollar target, it's very hard to manage the business successfully. So the role of the executive officer is to get that return on investment. He's to get the ship to its destination. If he hasn't been told what the destination is, then he can hardly be blamed when the ship doesn't arrive at the right place at the right time. And so the executive officer needs to create a plan, a strategic business plan, And then he also needs to create a set of performance standards. Now, a lot of businesses create what are called budgets. I don't like the word budget because when my wife uses the word budget, she means don't spend. What we need to understand is that the numerical indicators in the business, known as the budget, are really the performance standards. Our plan is to make $10 million worth of sales this year at 10% net profit. That's what the budget says. It's got all our expenses allocated in the middle. If we meet all those targets, then the business meets its goal and objective. Now, without that goal and objective, it's like the ship on the ocean. How do we keep checking to see whether we're still on course for the business? And most businesses fail because they don't have a clear destination. They say, for example, we want to make more money. Well, if you make an extra $1 this year, was that your real goal and objective? No, it wasn't. So they have something other in mind than just making one extra $1. Business owners need to make that number tangible and clear, and everyone in the business needs to know that this is the destination of the ship. In other words, if you're on the ship and you want to go to Alaska and this ship's going to Australia, you're on the wrong ship. Now here in our model of the business, you see I'm putting these red lines showing that as the business plan goes into action, the sales and marketing take a portion of the plan, the operations have their portion, and then the finance people report, and they send that report back to the executive officer who sends it up to the business owner, and they can tell from looking at that report how successful the business is in getting to its destination. They know that here we are after 1 month out of 12, we needed to make $1 million worth of sales. Did we make it or did we not? Without that number, the business does not know what it's doing successfully. It has no real way of measuring whether its activities need to be abandoned altogether, modified, or perhaps increased because this particular activity is really helping us get to our destination better than anything else we've thought of thus far. So business is a constant review and a constant planning and a constant juggling of a business plan that needs to be active at the executive office level, down in the sales and marketing, at the operations level, and in the finance and administration portion of the business. For without that plan, the business is most likely to fail. It will go round and round on the ocean, wondering whether it should be in Alaska or Australia because no one knows where the ship should be going. So it's important that this return on investment is made tangible. We are going to make $1 million net profit this year, and then we can break that down into daily targets and weekly targets and measure our success each day as we work in the business. So today's lesson, why do businesses fail? They fail because they have no plan. It is often said that 80% of businesses, small businesses, fail in the first 5 years, and that's true. And the usual reason is lack of finance. I say the lack of finance is not the problem. The lack of planning was the problem, because if the plan had been in place and implemented in a professional manner, the lack of finance issue would have been obvious a lot earlier than what it was, and perhaps business owners and managers could have taken steps to solve those particular problems. Well, that's it for today. I look forward to your next lesson when we deal with some of the more details of these key functions of the business.